downstate where secrets hide. In Tampa Street, she seeks out lies. With a sharp eye, she'll reveal the truth. Justice calls and she pursues. From county jails to hallowed courts, she finds truth where they distort. Fearless heart and mind so keen, Sam unravels tangled seams. The truth is buried deep in files. Fairness is what they try to hide, but Sam prevails. She's got your back. With grit and grace, she never lacks. Uncover lies and play no games. From jails to halls where verdicts lay. Truth her compass, come what may. Footsteps echo in the night. She chases justice with the light. A warrior for justice for all. She won't stop when she hits a wall. Florida Pisam is her name. Uncover lies and play no games. From jails to halls where verdicts lay. Truth her compass, come what may.
Hello, good evening. It's Saturday, May 3rd. May, you guys, it's May. How did May get here so fast? Welcome. I'm Florida PI Sam, licensed private investigator in Florida, and I went to law school. I work on criminal defense cases, court appointed, both federal and state. For anyone who's new, welcome. I live stream on Saturday nights because I love to chat with you guys, but I love my replay people just as much. So we're getting super close, you guys. We're still sitting at 950 subs. Can we push that to 1,000, please? That would be amazing. I want to say before I go any further off on a tangent that my dad is currently in the hospital in Ohio. He has double pneumonia. So can I get some pink hearts in the chat for my dad, please? That would be awesome. So let me say hi to those of you guys that are here. Hi, Leah. Kelly Collins, welcome in for a live. Alexis, Ginger Snaps, welcome. Hi, Mom. Barry, hello, sir. Happy Saturday from my patio. I'm here watching and listening, even if I lurk more than chat. Well, we're going to talk about the weather for a second in a moment. Kelly Collins says, this case is unbelievable. I'm so glad that Sam and crew are covering it. Well, thank you. I agree. And I'm so glad you're here. We really appreciate all your comments. Hi, Cindy Stovall. Nice to see you. Hey, Amy Crew. Hey, Jenny Bird, your new face. Thank you guys for all the hearts and prayers for my dad. Yeah, Kelly Collins, my dad does always say, hey, kiddo. Yeah, you might have noticed he wasn't here. He wasn't in my chat last week, and that was because he had gone on a camping trip, which he shouldn't have done. So now he is in the hospital with double pneumonia. And that's a very scary thing, but it's extra scary for us because my mom and my dad were in a really horrific fire when I was a child, and my dad's lungs are very badly scarred from that. So him having pneumonia is not a thing to be taking lightly. Yeah, Amy, I don't know if he was in Ohio or if he had gone to like Indiana or Michigan. I don't know, but he shouldn't have done it. And he knows that. And I've also said that there will be no more. There will be no more because this is just too dangerous. So I appreciate everyone sending their well wishes, and whether they are allowing him to live stream me from the hospital or not, I do not know, but he will see all of that at some point. So thank you guys so much. Amy Crew, can't stay getting my mom out for some fresh air. Hello and good evening. Sending prayers for that. Thank you so much, Amy Crew. Always great to see you. Hi, Squeegee. Nice to see you. Welcome. I appreciate you. I thought I saw people saying hi to Scotty. Is he in here? LJ, welcome. I don't see Scotty. Jill, see Scotty? Oh, there he is. Hey. Okay. Hi, sir. We survived another week, Scotty Sonardi. We survived another week doing our jobs. Barely, but we're breathing. Yes, Cindy Stovall. So Nancy Grace did write a book. And I did see that Nate Eaton had done some stuff. So we are, as you know, we're doing this sort of in a chronological order. So we haven't caught up to current time yet on this case. Why can I not get my earphones and my glasses to play nice? Yeah, so Nate Eaton actually got to see the non-public crime scene photos. We have uncovered some more current things, but like I said, we're doing this in chronological order. So don't give up on the series. We're going to get there, I promise you. And then, like I promised you before, you're going to get to come and say all the things that you know about the case, you think about the case, all the stuff. I'm going to let you have it all because I've asked you to not put spoilers in the chat for 5 weeks now. So, and I appreciate you guys hanging in and kind of going through this with me because I don't know it all. Like I've said repeatedly, Jenny and Alexis have done, you know, a lot of research. They pull in a lot of information. I don't even have time to read everything. Some of it I'm reacting with you, like we select it. Some of it I skim so I know what we're talking about. But I haven't come into this case knowing all the details. So, you know, my mind is kind of being blown as we go along because whenever it first caught my attention, and I don't know, I just hooked into the fact that there was like little to no investigation or whatever. So anyway, we're doing this one together. This is a new idea for us, is for me to try to present you with a case. Oh, thank you, Jenny. I appreciate you. Yeah, we got monetized, you guys. We got monetized. We hit the monetization. No, Cindy, you're good. You're not spoiler at all. No, Nancy Grace wrote a book. There's been press. I haven't read the book, and I'm gonna be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of Nancy. She's a little tabloidy for me. Hello, Carolina. So yeah, but we'll definitely be catching up to current events. We just aren't there yet. So yeah, it's all good. It's all good. I just know that there's there's more to come. We're not done. And then we're gonna let you guys we'll give you notice about which stream it'll be, where you can come in and chat your little hearts out about this case and your thoughts and all of the things. So, but I appreciate you being here. So last week, noticed, there were, I don't get huge live views, but I noticed there were fewer than we normally have. And it dawned on me Oh, you live in Florida. Okay, yeah. Well, you've been here 20 years, but you came from Ohio. And guess what has happened now in the northern part of the northeastern part of the country? It's spring, which means it's summer and it's light out longer. And you might want to be outside enjoying the fresh air as Barry is right now, rather than sitting inside watching me on YouTube. I wouldn't blame you, frankly. Or, maybe you can take your device outside with you, either or. But thank you so much, Barry Adams. I appreciate you. I should be showing you guys the super chats and stuff. Hold on. This is new. This is new territory. So thank you, Jenny, for your super sticker. And thank you so much, Barry, for your congratulations. I appreciate you so much. So what we're going to do is we're going to bump the stream back an hour. So instead of starting going forward, instead of starting at 7:15, we're going to start at 8:15 and see what that's like. Hi, Steve Morales. Welcome. It's good to see you. See, Barry knows how to do it. He's got me on the tablet from the patio. That's just, I walk around with my phone playing YouTube stuff all the time. But this week I haven't even had time to do that. So, yeah, 8:15 Sam daylight time. There you go. So we're going to do that for the summer. We're going to push it back an hour because, I really enjoy having you guys in chat. I mean, the purpose of me streaming is so I can have some interaction and some engagement beyond the county jail, because I need that. I need to talk to other human beings, even if it's only through my computer. And so, and I haven't made it to a point where I'm comfortable with recording and editing videos. I'm afraid that's a rabbit hole I will never come back from. So we're going to keep streaming, and we're going to finish out the Ellen series. We've got lots more to cover. I'm glad you guys are interested in it. If you have friends that you think might be interested in it, share the channel, share the stream. If you're not a chatter, if you're on replay crew, that's great too. Leave a thumbs up, say hi in the comments, or leave a question or anything like that. Hey, Great Gams, nice to see you. So yeah, we're going to try to make it a little more summertime friendly, because for those of you that had to, endure a winter, I want you to be able to go and play outside with your friends. So yeah, I forgot that other people have seasons. Sorry. We're also going to come up onto hurricane season. Some of you have known me. Yes, Cindy, that'll be 6:15 Mountain Daylight Time. But don't ask me to do math, please, ma'am. That's not my forte. But yeah, we're going to push back to 8:15 Eastern. So, oh, my other thought was this, or my other thing. We're going to come into hurricane season, which I can't believe I'm saying that, considering that I still have plastic up from last year's go round, and some of you knew my voice, at least, when the hurricanes came through here last year. Where I live is a flat top roof. Well, I'm on a floor with a flat top roof, let me put it that way. When it rains really, really hard here, it's deafening. So we may have to, there may have to be some adjustments made depending on what the weather decides to do, because I don't know if, even though I'm on headphones, I don't have a dedicated mic, they're built in, and I don't know how much outside noises will pick up. So we're going to figure that out together. I don't have anywhere that I can go in this apartment that I would still maintain any kind of signal or service and not be under the direct like downpour. So, and you know, it's fun because it rains in my living room. Barry says, my little shack was built in 1902. Since it didn't get blown or washed away in 38 or 55, I'm good. Well, I'm so glad to hear that. This building or this complex was originally condominiums built in like the 70s. And so far, I've been very, very lucky. Last year was the last one. What was that? Was that Milton, the second one that came through? It was the second one that hit the Tampa Bay area that much of the first floor of this entire complex is still empty. And I'm like, what in the world is taking them so long? And they said that they've had trouble ordering supplies. But then another neighbor, the cat lady neighbor that I had to go help, she said they didn't order enough supplies and that's why it's all backed up. But if I was one of those residents and had been out this long, I'd be, I don't know what, Milton, thank you, Barry. So we'll just have to wait and see and figure this out together, because when the storms came through last year, I was a guest on someone else's channel, and so you guys didn't, like, that didn't affect your viewership or listening to anything I had to say, right? And then I didn't start this channel, I think, until November. So I also didn't have a summertime channel. So we're going to figure this out together, you guys. And remember, the videos are always there for you in replay. There are playlists, the whole shebang. We're working our way back through this timestamps. Let me say something about that. It's hard to timestamp me. Okay, because, you know, I just go off on different tangents in different directions. And so, like, if you were trying to timestamp that for content purposes, you might not have the easiest time of it. So be patient. And we're not timestamping Ellen. So, but, oh, and then, of course, any of the documents that I'm putting up for the Ellen streams are over on Patreon. And if nothing else, go over to my Patreon. The link is in somewhere below. Go over to my Patreon and just look at it, because I think you have to join it to be able to look at it, but it's free. You don't have to pay anything, because I'm super proud. I love the graphic that I did with Henry for that. So go on over and check that out. Thank you, Kelly Collins. I appreciate you, girl. She digs my rambles. Thank you. Sometimes you just have to get all the things out. Gloomy and cloudy for Carolina. Leah says, fun fact, it costs absolutely nothing to smash the like button, hit the bell, and or leave a comment. And it greatly helps our resident PI, Sam. That's true. All of that is true. So I appreciate you guys so much for being here. I do know it's summertime. And so, like I said, we're going to work on accommodating that and see how it goes. You know, I'm flexible. I try to do things that are good for all of us. So we are, let me see, was there anything else I was supposed to tell you guys before I go on? I'm glad to see you all so much. I love it when people are in the chat. I just love it so much. It's the whole, like, you all, hi Susie. I asked everybody to put hearts in the chat for Dad. Susan Ann Real is my stepmother. If you guys did not know. So, and yes, Sue is my mother. You know. All right, so we're on part 5 of Ellen Greenberg, and if you haven't been following us, we have 4 parts done already, and there's a playlist, and you can go back and check those out. And the documents we're putting up in investigator files over on Patreon. For anybody who watches the watches on replay, the chat will populate for you. I have no control over that. It takes YouTube like 24 hours to process it. So we'll see. But you can always go back and do that. Yay, Cindy. I love that comment. Thank you. Thank you. Cindy says, we're happy you're here so we can be here. I appreciate you very much, because listen, having a true crime job may seem like it's super fun, but I have a secret. It's not at all. Not all fun. So, but we're going to go on with Ellen. So what we're going to do now is, we know Ellen, Alexis found this quote: "The best way to get away with homicide is to have it ruled a suicide," said Thomas Brennan Jr., a veteran Pennsylvania State Police retired Dauphin County detective who trained with the FBI Behavioral Sciences Unit. We will hear from him. What's worse, it's almost impossible for victims' families to legally challenge a manner of death ruling by a medical examiner or coroner in Pennsylvania. But that quote is something else. The best way to get away with homicide is have it ruled suicide. Wow. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I agree. So, am I in the right place? Yes. Okay. Sorry, you guys. The things that are Google give me issues sometimes. All right. So Brennan is now a private detective, a la me, but he's got a law enforcement background, obviously. I have a law school background. I do not have a law enforcement background. They're very different. So he has worked for past decade trying to change the ruling that the bizarre and bloody death of 27-year-old Ellen Greenberg was a suicide. More than a nightmare, her death investigation became something of a hot potato. It was tossed around to several prosecutors in different jurisdictions. There's no indication that any of these jurisdictions made much progress. So Ellen passed away in January of 2011, and they investigated for approximately 5 minutes, and they changed her manner of death from a tentative homicide to a definitive suicide. So in 2012, Ellen was the only child of her parents. So her parents hired Philadelphia attorney Larry Krasner, who at the time was a civil rights attorney and apparently a pretty good one. So they hired him in 2012 to try to get the reinvestigation opened in the city. It was he was unsuccessful at doing that, but he later would go on to refer the case to the Attorney General's office because he ran for and was elected DA. So it's like the plot thickens evermore, evermore. So, okay. The first report we're going to look at so we've already talked about the fact that there's very limited information that has come out, like from a FOIA request, right? We have police reports and videos and interviews and all those things on all different kinds of cases, like Sarah, for example. We know all the things. But from Pennsylvania, we haven't, over all these years, people have tried to get everything. So, yeah, we just I don't know if it doesn't exist because there's not enough information out there to tell me what exists and what doesn't exist. And there've never been criminal charges filed in this case. So that's one thing to remember, is there is no one that there's no criminal case, right? We can't go to a criminal case docket and start pulling information because it's not there. And the way in which I normally know if something exists is if the state tells me, and actually they're telling the court because they file something called a notice of discovery. And in a notice of discovery, it says what they're turning over to the defense. We all know they're supposed to turn it all over. We also all know that that doesn't happen. And it's frustrating. And they recently, for one of Scotty's cases, he gave me the link to evidence.com to see if I could download the video that they had. And so I'm watching this video, and it's a Tampa police, but I'm like, this is about a stolen car, not a kid who ran away from the detention center. Like, Okay, what have I missed, right? Totally thinking like this is an element, this is a piece of the puzzle. No, they just gave us something that didn't belong to our case. But what is evidence.com? She asks. Evidence.com is, well, I learned a little bit about it from one of the cases, but it's, I guess some of the police departments may use it as their case management system. But what they give us is, or they'll give the attorneys a link, and you click on the link and it will take you to a zip file of some sort that you can then download, and it's full of some sort of discovery. Apparently, sometimes not the discovery you think you're getting. And the zip files can be really big and problematic, especially if they are the phone reports and stuff like that. It can be really hard. It's not something I can log into, but if you were listening at all to, I want to say it was Brian Kohberger's case in a recent hearing, that one of the attorneys was like, I'll see if I can give them like a way to log into evidence.com to give them direct access to the Kohberger files without giving them access to the entire portal. So that's what I know about it. Barry says, Sam, you only see it once the state decides a given set of facts is something, and you don't always know if that same set of facts was this, that, or the other kind of thing before it got to you. This is true. And Kelly Collins, yeah, on my federal stuff, I can't search any of it. And also, they name things with numbers. Barry says, we've just seen what happens when cops make findings with an overburdened to-do list and a 2-year degree. Charles Vallow, self-defense to the Gillette Noreen Cox. Okay, I have not been following that. But, yeah, so the ability to search Kelly Collins does not exist within the federal, and they have their own way of providing evidence to defense. It's, well, Jenny, it depends on what kind of case, what county, and whether or not you are registered with the site. It's a different, you're talking about a clerk of court site, which is different than an evidence.com or whatever the portal is that the DOJ uses, and I can't think of what it is off the top of my head. But we get what we get, and then we try to figure it out. On the federal side, I get like a spreadsheet index, and I think I mentioned I've got one that's over 1,000 pages, which is my first encounter with something like that. But I do believe it is mostly that the bulk of taking up those pages is text messages, like one message per line item. And I really hope I'm right on that. So anyway, so we are going to look first at the report of a Dr. Cyril Wecht, who the family decided to, oh my God, did this just rename itself again? Guys, I can't with StreamYard. Hold on, let me put this up. I'm thinking it's not the right one. Okay, hang with me. Alexis, I think you need, is this Wecht? I can't see. Oh, okay, it is. All right. Okay, so Cyril Wecht apparently has both a doctorate and a JD, which is, I don't have the doctorate, but I got the JD. But fun fact, my cousin, who is an overachieving Texan, is both a licensed attorney and a renowned MD. Okay, so dear Doc, this was January 11, 2012, so we're a year out. This is to her parents, Dr. Greenberg. Pursuant to your request, I have reviewed all the records and materials pertaining to the death of your daughter. Clinical summary. Ms. Ellen Greenberg, 27 years old, was found dead by her fiance, Mr. Samuel Goldberg, in their locked apartment on January 26, 2011. Mr. Goldberg reported that he had left their apartment for the gym in their apartment building at 16:45 that afternoon and returned between 17:15 to 17:30. So that would be 4:45 to 5:15, 5:30. He stated that he tried to contact the decedent via text message, telephone, and email for approximately 1 hour in attempting to get back in, but got no response, confirmed by incoming texts and emails in decedent's cell phone between 17:32 and 17:54. I think last week I think my slides had timeline in them, and those should be over on Patreon because it's hard to keep track of numbery things, in my opinion. The 911 call was made at 18:33, so that's like an hour later. And if you go back and you look at the documents where we've got his text messages, he's getting mad at her, like really mad. Instead of worried, he's pissed, which great, love that. 911 call was made at 18:33. The solid gold. Remember that TV show, Solid Gold Dancers? The solid bar door guard was broken, consistent with Mr. Goldberg's report of forcing in the door. An apartment security man was reportedly present during Mr. Goldberg's entry. He was briefly instructed to start CPR until he noticed a knife in her chest and was instructed to stop. Medics pronounced death at 18:40. There was no evidence of a struggle, valuables were present, and nothing was missing in the apartment. The decedent was found supine in the kitchen, her head and body resting against the lower half of the kitchen cabinets. Blood was present on the head, in the hair, and on the neck. Multiple chest wounds were observed. A knife was embedded in my understanding of a drug like Zoloft is that it's not going to work in 24 to 48 hours. It's not an instantaneous thing. But it says, so her first appointment was on the 12th. She was prescribed Zoloft on the 12th. Like, say, presumably she starts taking it on the 12th. By the second appointment on the 17th, she's moved to Xanax. And by the third appointment on the 19th, she's on something else. That's insane. I know Xanax works, that's more of an instantaneous kind of thing. But after no success, the doctor prescribed Ambien and Klonopin. On January 17th, it was specifically noted by psychiatrists she starts thinking about everything else, not suicidal. Sounds like ADHD to me. On January 19th, Dr. Brennan noted, way better. Ms. Greenberg denied any verbal or physical confrontations with her fiance. Also reviewed is a diary-like emailed account with a redaction. Miss Ellen Greenberg reportedly responded to this close friend's text on January 26th about 12 p.m. saying, yeah, you are getting out early, because Philadelphia schools were getting out early on account of the snowstorm. Ms. Greenberg's response was, thank goodness. So I'll go over here, but I want to see what you guys are saying before I carry on, because it looks like we've got some chatters. I love chat. Talk to me, people. Hey, OnlyFan. Thank you for your super chat. I appreciate you. Lurking as always. Told you the channel should be called How to Crime. I don't think so. But don't tell me. Okay. Oh my God, you guys. My chat just crashed on my other computer. I paid Spectrum so they would not crash my computer. They don't like it when you're late with your bill. I paid them. All right. Let me go over here then and look at you guys this way. All right. Sorry, guys. You gotta love some technical difficulties. Let's see. So Carolina, you're asking a really good question. So what do you mean exactly by original? In this case, no. Defendants, well, there was no criminal case, right? So, but they did not get like a phone extraction. They got what looks like, from everything I've seen, someone just typing out what was said on the screen. Like the way that it's been presented to you by me. Oh, wait, no, I'm looking at it. Somebody else. I'm like, dash cam video. I have too many tabs and things open. Hello, you're on YouTube. You are not working. Okay. So in current cases, Carolina, the answer is yes, because they are doing extractions, imaging of phones, right? So we get everything exactly how it was in the phone. And one of the reasons why the PDF of a Celebrite extraction can go into the tens of thousands of pages is because it captures like every emoji, every emoticon. So like you guys putting hearts in someone's chat, that would show up. A YouTube logo would show up. I mean, it's just insane. So in today's world, sorry guys, I have the slider open so that Henry will stay outside, and then I get little buggies floating in and out of my vision. They are today used, though, directly. I mean, you can think you have cleared your phone, and as I have said on numerous occasions, you have not deleted what's on your phone, unless you're Brian Higgins. Then you might have deleted your phone. So Kelly Collins, who is following along with us, says Cyril W. is a big old red flag for me. Tell me why. Because the parents hired him, right? He was supposed to do an independent evaluation. Jenny's giving instructions on how to Zoom if you're on your mobile. Caroline is asking, who waits for 1 hour? Especially if you're if you're trying to reach somebody in the apartment and she's not, like, I don't know, my instinct is not to go to rage, as in he says you have no idea. It would be like, hey, are you okay? Oh my God, what's wrong? But clearly that was not his position. OnlyFan, thank you so much for You're Singapore. Is that what does SGD? It's got to be Singapore. I don't know what the rest of it means, but thank you, sir. I appreciate you. Let's see. LJ, thank you for the helpful advice. Jenny, there you go. She's been using a magnifying glass all the time. Oh my God. LJ, I love that. Sounds like something my mom would do for sure. But yes, I'm blind as a bat, which is why I have I'm streaming to you from my laptop, but I have got a bigger screen on a different computer to my right, and I require it to be able to read to you guys. Okay, you guys, really? How to Crime with PI Sam? Is that what we're going to call it? You'll have to let me know. Anybody on Repay, let me know if you want me to rename my channel to How to Crime with PI Sam. So Barry says, bad psychiatry. Mine said we have to wait 30 days for any med combo to settle down before we could talk fully about its therapeutic merits or issues. I would say, Barry Adams, that has been my experience as well. Larry Powers, welcome. You are welcome to lurk, sir. Kelly says, there must have been a history of confrontations or whatever was noted then. I mean, we're going to find out some more information, Kelly, I think, as we go through. But it's just, everything is sus. So Carolina says, a really dangerous med cocktail. Yeah, I mean, we went over the drugs a stream or two ago, and I told you my Ambien story about when I knew I had to hey, Donna Barkley, welcome. I knew I had to get off Ambien. So if you missed that, you'll have to go back and watch that stream. Okay. So then Barry's going to tell us his psych history. After years of meds, my psychiatrist and I brought me off, and I was told about all the risks, but 3 years on, it works so far, even if I ramble as much as Sarah, but no malicious. Listen, I ramble. I call that just creative chaos. Barry says, I might be way behind the chat. My location straddles the border between my Wi-Fi and mobile data, and I can never tell. My brain straddles the border between sanity and non. Okay, so Kelly is answering me. Cyril W. is the Nancy Grace of forensic science. Okay, all right. Let's finish up with this. Report because we got some other ones to get through. All right, so did I get you to the correct page? Yes, you are on the correct page. So over here, let me see. As published in newspapers on February 1, 2011, the medical examiner office, I'm going to need the Zoom function over here because, yeah, reading is hard. Okay, so as published in newspapers on February 1, 2011, the medical examiner's office ruled the death as a homicide based on the Philadelphia Police Department's announcement on January 28. A few days later, the police department backed away, making a statement that the case had not been ruled a homicide and was being investigated as suspicious. However, on February 18th, 2011, the police retracted their original ruling and officially declared that the death of Ellen Greenberg had been ruled a suicide. So Philadelphia City Assistant Medical Examiner Marlon Osborne, MD, listed multiple stab wounds as the cause of death. The manner was ruled to be suicide. And if you were not here last week, once this stream is over, you got to go back and watch last week's because you'll see for yourself. Seeing is not believing the medical examiner in this case. So, okay, I'm not going to go through all these, but he lists in letters, which I guess he is the pictures that I showed you, the computer generated images, those were created. That was the one thing we took out of our timeline. Those were created in 2021. But for any of us, to grasp the insanity that is this case, you had to see them. So I'm not going to read all this, but the stream, of course, is there, and then we're putting I think the slides are probably up on Patreon, or they will be. But here, I want to show you this. So all the way under the letter, and these documents will also go on Patreon, but under the end of the listing of the wounds, it says multiple contusions, which are bruises, and various stages of resolution were present on the upper and lower extremities, right upper arm, right forearm, right lower abdomen, right thigh, and above the right knee. 223 color photographs of the scene and autopsy have been submitted. No toxicology reports are found in the materials submitted. Reportedly, the tests were negative. I do think we have shown you the toxicology reports. Impossible to read. Ms. Greenberg had seen psychiatrist Dr. Ellen Berman. Her handwritten notes from 3 patient visits have been reviewed. There had not been any summary of a detailed investigation of fiancé. Medical legal question. Guys, medical legal question. I have never seen that word. I've never seen that word. Okay. I'm going to need a refund for law school. What was the most likely manner of death? Suicidal stab wounds can rarely be multiple. No kidding. Suicides by stabbing are becoming less frequent, with simpler choices being drugs, hanging, or gunshot. Cutting of the wrist and throat is often associated with suicide, whereas stab wounds to the back are most likely in the chest. Or, I'm sorry, I skipped a line. Cutting of the wrist and throat is often associated with suicide, where stab wounds to the back are unlikely to be suicide. A murder usually involves multiple stab wounds to the side, back, or stomach. In a suicide, there may be additional cuts across the wrist or tentative stabbings to see if it will hurt or to work up courage. Then there will usually only be one wound, and most likely in the chest. Turn the page. Oh, okay. The multiple stab wounds to the back of the upper neck and lower head found at autopsy were unlikely suicidal stab wounds, especially the different directions that K, L, Q, R, and S with vertical direction, left to right, blah, blah, blah. That's on the diagrams that were up last week. The locations of the stab wounds high up the back of the neck and lower back of head are also unlikely for self-inflicted wounds. Well, I don't think you need to be an expert to come to that conclusion, but okay, well, I know. A suicide victim will frequently leave a note. There was none. There was also no indication that the decedent was suicidal from the standpoint of her own family, friends, professional associates, and the psychiatrist who had evaluated her. There had not been any indication that she had the intention to commit suicide or was depressed during the day she was found dead. She seemed her usual self in the morning when she had a telephone conversation with her mother, and later at midday, texting with a friend at approximately noon. It would be important to find out from the fiancé how she behaved barely half an hour before when he left their apartment, as he claimed. Well, we know he left during that time because it's on camera, but we don't know what was going on before that. A suicide victim will rarely stab herself through her clothing. Instead, she will open her shirt to expose her skin. The stabbing through the clothing may indicate homicide. It is not known if fingerprints on the knife were taken and examined. I think the answer to that is no, or there was no DNA on the knife. Following the review of all submitted documents, the results of the autopsy, and counts from the investigation, based upon a reasonable degree of medical certainty, it is my professional opinion that the manner of death of Ellen Greenberg is strongly suspicious of homicide. All right. Do we need an expert to figure that out? I'm not sure. Yeah, it does. To say that word or to know what it means. Yes, you're correct, OnlyFan. It does require my overachiever Texas cousin to know that terminology. Larry says, I've never heard of a suicide with a knife in the back. Alexa says, certainly not a painful death. What am I missing? I gotta get my chat back up on YouTube because I'm missing you guys. Oh my god. Okay, you're talking about Grey Poupon and monocles. Got you. Jenny says if she had a diary on her computer and Sam's uncle deleted it when he had the computer, would it still be found? Maybe she had written about problems with Sam. I think they found like a journal type, like a medication journal in her purse, like they called it a booklet. They've also called it a journal. I don't know that I don't know that I've read anything about her having a computer journal, and it would depend. I guess the answer, Jenny, would be it depends, because if during the time that the uncle had possession of the computer, if he had somebody who knew what they were doing and removed a journal and removed traces of it, then that's plausible. I don't know. I don't know. If it was just a normal person who hit delete and doesn't realize delete means it's sitting in the trash can, and also it needs to be overwritten, then I don't know. I do not know. Okay, so that was Dr. Weck's report in 2012. OnlyFans says in the Sandra Birchmore case, oh, that's the other case Trooper Proctor is involved in. The feds dragged the state ME along when their own federal ME did a second autopsy. I only know sketchy details about that case because it's just so freaking tragic, you know? She may have had evidence of him hurting her, or maybe she was afraid to. I don't know. There were 3 laptops in that apartment, and they were all taken by the uncle before they were turned over to police. So chain of custody, and her phone. So chain of custody did not exist. Yeah, Larry, like I'm not the greatest on the tech, but yeah, data can still be recovered, especially if you've got an expert. So in 2013, they hired Dr. Wayne K. Ross, and he writes 2 reports, and his findings, I'm pretty sure, are fairly similar. Let's take a quick look at what he has to say. So he's responding to Brennan, a consultant. I agree, Carolina. Justice for Ellen Greenberg. This case makes me sad for her parents and angry towards the judicial system. I never understood how was her death classified as a suicide. Right. Well, and also, like, it never made it to the criminal judicial system because it was ruled a suicide. So her parents do go to the civil system, and we will get there. We're just kind of creeping along in time here. But yeah, I mean, this is so blatantly outrageous, and it's like, you know, with the ongoing Karen Reed saga, and you just wonder how this is permitted to keep happening. But I'm going to give you all your own stream for all your theories and your thoughts and your bits of knowledge. Just let me get caught up to where we are in time. So on this, he says, Dear Mr. Brennan, at your request, I reviewed materials pertaining to the death of Ellen Greenberg, found dead in her apartment, etc., etc. It is my opinion that the investigating authorities should pursue this case as a homicide. It is further my opinion, to a reasonable degree of medical certainty, that the manner of death is a homicide. Hey, Mel, nice to see you. Oh, good. I'm glad you had a nice time. That's wonderful. Glad to see you, though. Yes, Barry, the burden of proof is lower in civil, and we're going to get there. Like, I'm not going to deprive you guys of any of the things, right? But let me see. But I'm trying to go chronologically. And it's frustrating, I know, because it's really slow. So, let me see. I have the wrong one up on my screen over here. I missed one when I was opening them. So this is Ross. So this is another expert hired by the family, and he received oh, this is in 2017. Am I out of order? I think I'm out of order, guys. Hold on. No, it jumps. Dr. Wayne Ross. Ah, tongue twister. Dr. Wayne Ross report number 2 was in. Okay. So let me see if I can get it to where I can see it. I did not need to have some things go crashing down. One moment. Okay, here we go. Materials received, inspection date of organ tissue, August 3rd, 2016, scene photographs, autopsy report, and autopsy photographs. After review of the above information, I can offer the following opinions to a reasonable degree of medical certainty. There was evidence of a stab wound which penetrated the cranial cavity and severed the cranial nerves and brain. As a result, she would experience severe pain, cranial nerve dysfunction, and traumatic brain signs and symptoms, including numbness, tingling, irregular heartbeat, and bradycardia, respiratory depression, neurogenic shock, and impaired loss of consciousness. There was evidence of strangulation. There was a mark over the front of the neck, which was consistent with a fingernail mark. There were multiple bruises under the neck and in the strap muscles over the right side of the neck. The patterns were compatible with a manual strangulation. There were multiple bruises over the body, some of which were fresh, many of which were older. The patterns were consistent with a repeated beating. The scene findings were indicative of a homicide. Should further information become available, we reserve the right to amend this report at that time. What do you think about that, guys? Did we hear about that before? Okay, let me go back up. So Carolina says, in her opinion, the medical examiner justified her death based on the contents of her journal and not the evidence of the crime scene. The medical examiner justified her death based on, I have no idea what. Because remember, like, the lead investigator was the medical examiner investigator, Mr. O. I can't say his name. I'm not even going to try. So he was the lead investigator. He determined that there was no disturbance of anything. But I've said, in what I have reviewed thus far, and I realize this is a very old case and a lot of information is out there. And I mean, Nancy Grace even wrote a book. So to my knowledge, there was not a thorough police investigation. If there was, evidence of it is hidden somewhere, because if you remember from last week, the apartment manager had the crime scene cleaned because the police told her it was fine, and then the uncle's attorney came in and just took whatever he wanted. So I thought that the little journal they found in her in her purse, which he also took, was just about her medication. So I don't know. Leah, the justice system scares the bejesus out of me. It should. I pray I never become a part of it. I'm happy playing at home juror. Yes, ma'am. I concur. And I'm a whole lot closer to it than I ever thought I would be. I never thought I'd be anywhere near a jail, like ever. And I had the pleasure of where did I go this past week? I think I went, was that last week or this week? I was in 2 different jails in 2 different counties this week. Alexis is pointing out that we have a huge gap in time. Okay, it's from 2013 to 2017. From 2013 to 2017, the parents played the game, waiting and hoping that the powers that be would do the right thing. So they did not, and still to this day have not given up, right? They were just, I mean, what would you do? They were lucky they had money to be able to, to hire experts. And Barry agrees with Leah, and I agree with you guys. And what have I told you from day one? It's not legal advice, it's common sense advice. Do not talk to the police without an attorney. I don't care how innocent you are. You can talk yourself into a charge. And Scotty Sonardi is on my speed dial, so, just in case. Alexa says, when that didn't happen, they hired more experts determined to prove what the ME's office wanted to ignore. Yes, and I think... So we're getting to another report in 2017. Let's see. Carolina's agreeing with Alexis. OnlyFans. What a load of crock to become classified as self-deletion. I just love it when you're here in chat, sir. It was a trust me bro situation. It was some kind of situation. I mean, we're going to put it all together, right? But we're looking at it as investigators. And like I said, I know some of you guys know this case. I know you do. But I don't, right? I just learned about it. And I'm learning about it as I'm bringing it to you. And I have so many red flags going off in my head. But I also look at this stuff all day long, every day for a living. So, and I'm trying to sort of share my perspective as well, like how wrong this rings to me. Leah says that OnlyFans, right? It just seems blatantly obvious to me that it's impossible for Ellen to have done that to herself. It baffles me. It should baffle all of us. Barry, 2 different jails in a week sounds like the best spring breaker in my best spring break ever. You guys, I cannot talk tonight. In my alternate timeline 1, but real alternate timeline 2 would have me there because I screwed up everywhere. Scotty Sonardi goes to more jails in more counties in a week than I can keep track of. I feel at courtrooms. The young man is working hard. Larry Powers, don't even say good morning to the cops without an attorney next to you. I concur with that. I'm sure there's good law enforcement out there, but, let's see. Carolina says, thank you so much, Sam. Sounds like she may have been a victim of DV according to her old bruises. Exactly. Well, I mean, so you guys, we're investigators. We should be taking some notes here, right? And trying to connect some dots. And I'm trying to figure out how to do that, like as a presentation. But, I am the girl that my freshman year of college in Boston, I'll get you to the next report. But here's my fun cut and paste story in the meantime. I had a friend from Panama, and she asked me to help her with one of her papers. So I was like the only girl on the dorm floor with a computer and a printer. So I printed her paper out, and then I spread it out across the floor, and I cut it apart with scissors and put it back together again. And that was cut and paste. So then, to help me, she wrote my Spanish essay. But the problem was that my Spanish teacher came back and said, this is written in a Panamanian dialect. So yeah, good times are had by all. Scotty, sir. Scotty's had a hell of a week, I'll tell you. So it says a lot when lay people have more common sense than experts or those in the field. I mean, sometimes we do feel like we are banging our heads against a brick wall. Let's see. This is Barry's referencing the Karen Reed case at Larry. Jen McCabe did, and they found they weren't her trust me bro friends, but the FBI, and then she wised up. Yeah, so Carolina, like, for for those of us who are kind of like following along with all of the things, like, are you keeping track in your head of all of the things that, you know, all the little bells that should be going off? Because I know you guys would have done better. I know you would I know you would have done better. Okay, so next, family hires Detective Scott Ellman, specializing in crime scene reconstruction, evidence processing, and management. Okay, I guess this former law enforcement. So this was in April of 2017. So we've got this big gap in time. And he was contacted by Dr. Wayne K. Ross, who asked that he review a case for him to perform a crime scene reconstruction. Dr. Ross provided the below listed items. We know there were only 230 photos were taken, and some of those were the autopsy photos. Crime scene photos taken by the Philadelphia Medical Examiner's Office, only a handful of which have ever been released to the public, and I've shown you a couple of those. The Philadelphia Medical Examiner's Report, Philadelphia Medical Examiner's Office Investigator Report. That's the report that Mr. O read, which I believe we have been over. And the expert report of Dr. Wecht, which was the first report that we read, and that Kelly Collins says that he's a little like Nancy Grace, a little sketch, a little tabloidy maybe. Okay, so he's saying, he's going through, right, and giving all the same details that we've already heard. He says Mr. Goldberg indicated an apartment building security person was present at the time he forced entry. Well, we've debunked that already, right? We know that's not true because we have looked at the stills from the security camera of the building. The photographs of the crime scene depict Ms. Greenberg seated on the kitchen floor against the corner cabinet. She is found slumped downward, resting on her buttocks and lower back. Her arms are extended parallel to her upper body with both hands rotated slightly inward from the, that's not going to want to come out, anatomical, okay, position. A white colored towel is noted clenched in her left hand, which is also extended towards her feet. Her legs are extended with her feet rotated outward. She's wearing a pair of light brown in color UGG boots, a pair of gray in color sweatpants tucked into the boots, dark gray zip-up sweatshirt, dark gray t-shirt. And again, he describes her as her face tilted over, which we've looked at before. He goes on to now he gets very detailed, and I'm not going to read all of this to you guys because it'll make me crazy and it'll make you crazier. But he is very detailed on where the blood spatter or lack thereof, right? He's talking about stuff that we would see on a CSI show, which I think is interesting, although it's very confusing, and I don't know that if I read this to you it would get any clearer. But let's go and look and see if we can find his conclusion. We'll put the documents up for you over on Patreon. So if you are interested, you can read them for yourself. OnlyFan. Larry Powers. Good morning, officer. What made the morning good for you? You're funny. All right. Let's see. Let me get you over to the next page here. Like I said, this is very dense and he's very detailed. So, I mean, at least it looks like he got some very good detail in here. Barry Adams says, I'm trying to position myself, kind of thinking about how I would wind up that way all by myself without any help. And even with acting classes, it doesn't track that way. Track how I would get that way if I were ex. You guys are too much. All right, I'm just gonna go on down here. So this is interesting. He says, so the bloodstain stuff is all super detailed, right? And But he says the photographs from the front door were reviewed. I showed you that. There is damage noted to the door side of the security latch, which is still attached to the door. The screws are still present in the screw hole. The door jamb side of the security latch does not appear to show any damage. The floor underneath the door area, while it is difficult to see with the photographs given, does not show any evidence of debris from the damaged security latch. No photographs were received of the refrigerator, kitchen, pantry, closet, or any portion of that wall between the kitchen and the front door. So I showed you guys that photo, and it took me forever to understand why I was showing it to you. But she was in, that was the view you would have had coming in the front door, and Sam would have had to go around in there to find her. He says no photographs are received of the ceiling of the kitchen area. No photographs are received of Mr. Goldberg, his footwear, or his clothing. The autopsy report from the Philadelphia Medical Examiner's Office concludes that Ms. Greenberg suffered 8 stab wounds to her chest, 1 stab wound to her abdomen, an incised wound to her scalp. We saw that big, huge one, and 10 stab wounds to her posterior neck. She died as a result of the stab wounds to the back of her neck, abdomen, and chest. A significant incised wound was also noted to the back right side of her scalp. So he's very detailed in his 6 pages. I would have preferred some single spacing or double spacing. So he says his conclusions are kind of interesting. It is my opinion that Ms. Greenberg was not in the position in which she was found at the time the blood was deposited on her sweatpants, sweatshirt, and shoes. It is also my opinion that Ms. Greenberg's head had to have been in several positions during the time of blood flow, and it remained so for enough time as to have the blood flow across her face and back towards her ear, upwards towards her eyes. Thank you, Leah, for the coffee. Upward towards her eyes and also downward towards her chin. It is my opinion that the bloodstain evidence in this case is inconsistent with the position in which Miss Greenberg was found. Furthermore, I have serious concerns regarding the pattern blood stain to the left of Ms. Greenberg's right leg, the minimal amount of blood stains on the floor in comparison with those found on the clothing of Ms. Greenberg, and the flow patterns of the blood stains on Ms. Greenberg's face relative to the position in which she was found. These opinions were formed using the information available at the time of the evaluation and examination. I reserve the right to amend these opinions should further information become available. So I want to remind you guys that the scans, the CG images that we looked at of the autopsy last week, those were done in 2021. So this man did this evaluation based on the ME's report and the autopsy photos. So he did not even have the benefit of all of those. So you know, that was a pretty thorough and detailed report, which again, if you would like to if you would like to read this whole entire thing, which I will be down to 0 viewers if I sit here and read this to you, but if you would like to read it, we will have it for you. Okay, guys, let me see. Barry says anyone who took stage combat could tell you things didn't wind up that way if she did it herself. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree with you, Jenny, that I think he did it and then went to work out and set the whole thing up. I think there was a lot of staging here, but okay, let me see where we are. So in 2018, the investigation was transferred to the Attorney General's office because remember, the family had hired attorney Larry Krasner he was a civil rights attorney, and they had hired him to work on Ellen's behalf, right? But he got elected to be the DA. So he sent the case, everything that had the Philadelphia police, prosecutors, and medical examiner officials had generated to the state attorney general's office. As a result of these additional expert reports, the parents made 2 attempts to persuade government officials to reopen the investigation. The first was in 2018 when the Pennsylvania Office of the Attorney General agreed to re-examine the case. Family hired another expert, hoping to tip the scales just enough to spur the AG's office to take an interest in the case. And so in January of 2018, they are 7 years out now from the death of their daughter. They hire Dr. Henry C. Lee, PhD. His report, which I have for you here, his report says largely the same thing as, okay, that is the right one, as his conclusion comes to the same result, right? Which he goes through the details of he's describing photographs. So it looks like he examined 12 photographs, but we'll just look at his conclusion. After review of the reports and the photographs, the kitchen area where the decedent was found is consistent with the primary indoor scene. Assuming that all of the blood noted was the decedent's blood, the blood-stained patterns indicate that she was in a standing position when she received her initial injuries, which caused the blood dripping on the kitchen sink, counter, cabinet, and drops on the floor. Subsequently, she was on the floor with her head leaning forward, producing all of the blood drops that fell into her pants and between her legs. 2 separate contact stains were found on the cabinet near her. One stain was consistent with a wipe from right to left. The second was consistent with a hair swipe, indicating her hair with blood from her hair injury came in contact with the cabinet in a downward direction. The stab wounds noted in the photographs are consistent with being caused by a knife, but there is no indication of the length or the width of the knife except for the wound in which the knife was embedded to the handle. The decedent received additional wounds to her neck and head that were not clear in the scene photographs. Therefore, it is not possible to make additional observation on those patterns at this time. The number and type of wounds and bloodstain patterns observed are consistent with a homicide scene. So we've got experts who are agreeing with other experts. All right. So what do you guys think? So that was in 2018. In 2019, their PI and their lawyer so their PI was Thomas Brennan, and he generated a death analysis report. Police abandoned the scene, and the property manager was left waiting for the ME, which we know. We also have some letters and a psychological opinion. I'm trying to see. Let's look at Brennan's. Let's look real quick at Brennan's report. So he is this, wait, I'm confused. I think I have it's me. I am the problem. It's me. I don't think I got them all over here. So Leah is asking a good question. What she wonders about Sam, what has his life been since, and what has he been saying this whole time? Alexis, I have the right one on the screen. I don't have it over here big where I can read it, so I need to grab it. Oh, no, here it is. It's just named something different. I got it. So yes, we will hear briefly from Sam. We're not there yet, quite yet. Let's see. Carolina says, I agree with you, Jenny. Sam set everything up to seem like an intruder killed Ellen, but he forgot about double locking the front door. Barry says, Jenny, so true. Shows justice system can work against both defendants and victim families when people aren't doing their jobs. And Alexa says, Sam remains silent for a long time. You guys may have known that he has made a statement. I just learned that tonight, actually. So this report that I'm going to show you, hold on, let me get my instruction. Okay. So he's going through all the same things. Oh, wow. Okay, you guys, look at that. So I'm sorry I don't have the ability to highlight for you, but a fiance text message the victim's cell phone. Okay, fiance text messaged the victim's cell phone 9 times between 1732 and 1754, attempting to reach her. He never placed a call. That I would be calling to see if that phone is ringing on the other side of the door. Of course, I do have to find my phone in my own apartment half the time. But fiance went down to the property security desk and asked the security man for assistance in making forced entry. Security man stated he could not assist the fiance. The security man also stated, who goes to the gym wearing Timberline type boots? Timberlands, I guess, right? There are conflicting statements made by the fiance as to whether he was assisted or not in making the forced entry. He says he was, but he wasn't. Fiance reported he made the 911 call after making entry. Family has been denied access to police reports, 911 call, and surveillance tapes. FOIA requests have been filed to obtain police, district attorney, and attorney general investigation files. Several attempts to obtain their personal file from the original attorney, Mr. Larry Krabner, have been unsuccessful. Oh, wow. Told you I haven't read all the stuff, you guys. Unknown when fiance provided police with a statement. He did have counsel. Of course he did. This is craziness. Let's see. Unknown whether or not any crime scene photos or forensic were performed by the police. Oh, wait, there's 0 on that slide. I'm so sorry. Okay, here we go. I don't know how I got a blank page in there. That's crazy. Well, I've been saying we don't know because I don't know. According to witnesses, the property manager and security man, police looked around the apartment without any medical information, determined the death to be a suicide, and abandoned the crime scene. The property manager and security man had to remain with the victim for several hours, 3 a.m., until the ME personnel could remove the victim. Also, who does the autopsy the very next day? So I'm sorry I didn't have a chance to highlight this for you guys, but he says that following the day, and then in all caps at the bottom, the death of the victim was the results of a homicide. Since the police had abandoned the scene, they were now forced to prepare affidavits of probable cause to obtain a search warrant to re-enter the apartment. However, prior to the police returning to the apartment, the prominent attorney uncle of the fiancé entered the apartment, removed the victim's work laptop, personal laptop, cell phone, engagement ring, and credit cards. Police did not retrieve the items from the attorney uncle until the 29th. The fiancé's family and attorney uncle had an opportunity but did not return the items to the victim family on January 28th when they attended the victim's funeral in Harrisburg, PI. Fraudulent statement regarding the findings of an examination of the wound to the victim's spinal cord was placed in the ME's autopsy report at a later date in order to justify the findings of suicide. The neurological forensic pathologist who was quoted in the report does not recall the case, does not recall being asked to examine the spinal cord specimen, and stated if she did examine the specimen, she would have submitted her findings on an invoice with charges for her work. To date, this alleged report has not been found. Invoices with documenting findings of the doctor's work do exist prior to January 27th and after January 27th. Wow, okay. This is new to me. The victim's family consultant contacted medical director Dr. Sam Galino and requested to interview Dr. Osborne. That's our ME. Dr. Galino stated he would not permit any such interview. After several attempts, Dr. Galino stated he would permit Dr. Osborne to be interviewed via a conference call. Since Dr. Wayne Ross was involved and Dr. Ross was a medical professional, a conference call with Dr. Osborne was arranged and took place in the office of the Dauphin County coroner. Present in the coroner's office were the family consultant, Dr. Ross, and the Dauphin County coroner. After responding to Dr. Ross and the consultant's questions, Dr. Osborne was finally asked by the consultant why he changed the cause and manner of death from homicide to suicide. Dr. Osborne responded that he made the change at the insistence of the police because the police said there was a lack of defense wounds. Are you guys, those of you who are still here, are you with me? Do you hear this? Hello, guys? Dr. Osborne responded that he made the change at the insistence of the police because the police said there was a lack of defense wounds. How would they know she still had her clothes on? Oh my God. And then, wow. Okay. I'm stunned. Sorry. I am just stunned because the police, this man has said this in all caps. Okay. I mean, okay, at least like, I mean, I'm sitting here in stunned silence, like waiting for you to be stunned with me, but like I can't hear you if you're sitting in stunned silence. Okay, we're gonna look at a little bit more of this report because this is crazy. Okay, so following the change of administration in the DA's office several years later, the consultant again contacted Dr. Galino. Remember, he's in charge at the ME's office. Dr. Galino informed the consultant to contact the district attorney, Mr. Larry Krasner, and have Mr. Krasner notify all interested parties of such a meeting, and Mr. Krasner had the authority to demand the police be present. Now, remember, Krasner was the Greenberg's lawyer, Ellen's parents, and then he got himself elected DA and apparently didn't give him back the files. Dr. Galino went on to state he would be more than happy to host such a meeting and his secretary would make the arrangements. The consultant asked Dr. Galino why the cause and manner of death were changed. Dr. Galino stated, "You don't understand. The police said there was no one else with her in the apartment. I had to do something." In February of 2018, Mr. Krasner recused himself from this case and sent the file to the Pennsylvania Attorney General's office. And we have some material to show you from him in our next stream. Okay, so this is interesting. I mean, I'm just like, I see some crazy crap, but I just don't even know what to say, you guys. Only fan. Dr. Galeno needs to be looked at. You think, sir? Isn't that like consultants pay someone else to do the homework you yourself should know how to do, and they're not accountable for getting it wrong, and neither are you the one who hired them? I mean, I didn't think it was the police's job to determine this sort of information. The consultant learned that the specimen of the victim's spinal cord, a specimen of the victim's spinal cord, was preserved in the ME's laboratory. Permission to examine the specimen was obtained. Dr. Wayne Ross, a neurological forensic pathologist, qualified as an expert in the examination of stab wounds, and several other forensic experts examined the specimen. The findings were, again, all caps, I love a man with some emphasis here, the severity of the wound to the spinal cord was such that it would have totally incapacitated the victim and caused death, thus preventing the victim from administering any further stab wounds to herself. Dr. Ross's findings were death was a result of a homicide. Leah, I had to do something. Are you kidding me? This just keeps getting worse and worse. This sounds like something I say on a daily basis. Are you kidding me? Like, Barry's bias is that he works with management consultants. We won't hold it against you, sir. Alexa says she was telling me earlier today. You did. You totally think. Alexis totally thinks that someone at the police were responsible for this. Great Grams is also stunned. Yeah, I mean, I need to know that you guys are I can see how many people are actually here, but like, are you sharing my outrage? I mean, it's something I can still be surprised, I guess. Okay, so I want to read a little bit more of this one because so far this has been my favorite report that we've read. During the course of the review, an assistant district attorney who was in the DA's office prior to Mr. Krasner assuming the position was contacted by the consultant and asked to review the case file. The ADA stated he located the file in a closet away from the location of all homicide files. The case file was covered with Christmas decorations and did not have a homicide number assigned to it. The ADA said the file was in total disarray and it took several days just to organize it. Oh, Lord, welcome to my world. He went on to say one of the first things he noticed was the report regarding the spinal cord examination was not in the file. He went on to say he contacted the ME's office to obtain a copy of the report, and that, again, all caps, the ME's office told him the report did not exist. The ADA agreed with the consultant following his review that a basic death investigation was never performed by the police. The ADA is anxious to view the condition of the file and review its contents once it is obtained from the AG's office. Cindy Stovall. I think that about, yeah. Barry says it's appalling, but unfortunately he doesn't think it's rare. Jenny's like, in the closet. Only fan. I had to do something just as good as saying it just happened. Yeah, I had to do something. Yeah, so we will hear from ADA guy Deandra next week. So I hope you guys will stick with us for some more shock and awe as we go through this. Exactly, Great Grams. Wow. Carolina, in my opinion, EG's death investigation should be reopened and looked into all over again. she and her parents deserve justice. Well, remember, Carolina, we're pretty far, we're not up to current day yet, but I don't think anybody disagrees with you. I mean, this is just, I have my theories all the time during work about why I have certain things and why I don't have others, because of what I get. Like, discovery is not turned over to me by the state. It goes to the defense attorney, who has the discretion of giving me everything or giving me nothing, depending on what they want me to do. When I work with Scotty and a couple of my other attorneys, I review everything they get. Literally everything, except I don't look at the autopsy photos because I will never recover from that. But, I know this is out of order, but we were reading in the one report and they said there was no photograph of the ceiling or like the closet door there in the kitchen area. I think I told you this before, but the first murder case I worked was a double bludgeoning. And let me tell you, I will never get those images out of my head. So anybody who has a hankering for looking at crime scene photos, I would advise you to pause and think that through a little more. But there was blood literally everywhere. Ceilings, walls, everywhere. So for there to have been selective photographs taken by Mr. O, who worked for the medical examiner's office, like, did the police even take any pictures? I don't know. I'm going to have to go through everything and write some of my own notes here because, like, I've got thoughts. Okay, the AG's office had the case for approximately 14 months. Witnesses interviewed by AG investigators remarked the investigators were totally unprofessional, and it was evident they didn't know what they were doing. The surviving family members and other experts that presented their findings were never interviewed, and the spinal cord specimen was never examined by any of the AG's experts. The AG's office did not publish any of their findings until their office was contacted by the Philadelphia Inquirer Daily News journalist on March 16th of 2019. He goes on to say, the following reports of experts' findings regarding this case are Dr. Wayne Ross, report of specimen examination, Dr. Cyril Wecht report, Dr. Henry Lee report, Detective Scott Ellman report, interview with Jan Johnson, nationwide crime scene analyst expert, Dauphin County coroner, Cumberland County coroner, Montgomery County coroner, Robert D. Keppel, homicide expert, refer to Philadelphia Inquirer Daily News article dated March 17th, 2019. You guys, what is happening? What is happening here? What is happening? Oh my God. Barry, we should all be appalled and outraged, and we should support those in our communities who are left behind and who know for sure their loss wasn't just one of those sad things. Well, for sure. And the fight that her parents have put up, like, it's 2025, and I'm talking about this case and I had never heard of it. So they are doing they're fighting best, you know. Alexa says, yes, Barry, say it louder for the folks in the back. Leah's asking, did Sam have friends in law enforcement at the time? So, as I said, we're going to get to more of what happened down the line. And I don't know that Sam himself had friends in law enforcement, Leah, but the uncle, he's a pretty powerful judge. I'm not making accusations. I'm just pointing out what I have read. And please don't sue me because you'll get nothing. Yeah, Leah, for sure. Jenny says there was an escaped convict in our area and cops knew where kids were getting off the bus and no cops there. They pulled into a driveway, told the lady to keep an eye out. She asked why no patrol for the kids. He literally told her, don't be ridiculous, just stop. The escapee was found in her yard right after she got her kids inside. Okay. Well, so yeah. I'm trying to process. I don't know that my brain is still here. I'm looking for number 7. Got it. You know, I have a cheat sheet over here that keeps me on track, right? Because if I didn't, I don't know where we would all be. So this is a letter from the Greenberg's attorney to medical examiner Galino. And remember, Galino is in charge over there. Okay, so this is dated. Now we're up to 2019. You guys, we're getting closer to real time, but now we're 8 years out from Ellen's death. I mean, everything about this says to me murder, but you can be the judge, I suppose. He writes, Dear Dr. Galino, I write in regards to the 2011 death of Ellen Greenberg in your office's findings to alert you to a number of questions that cast serious doubt in the minds of various medical and neuropathological experts as to the conclusion of your office as to Ellen's cause of death as being a suicide. In our view, these questions warrant a closer examination of the case and further investigation of the circumstances surrounding her untimely death. So Leah, there you go, is somebody is saying do exactly that. So he says enclosed are copies of reports by several eminently qualified experts in the fields of medical forensics and neuropathology who have unanimously concluded that Ellen's death could not have been a result of a suicide. And he goes on here to list all of the different experts. Says as briefly summarized below, the unanimous conclusions of these experts, coupled with other serious concerns, militating? Wouldn't it be mitigating? Militating? I don't know. Is this vocabulary lesson 9, I guess? Concerns militating against a finding of suicide warrant a reopening of Ellen's case and further investigation of her death. Other material considerations warranting the reconsideration of Ellen's cause of death. Evidence that 2 knives were used in Ellen's death. According to Wayne K. Ross, MD, there is substantial forensic evidence suggesting more than one weapon was used in Ellen's death, although only one was recovered at the scene. Do we have a murder board? We need a murder board. Dr. Ross concluded a strong likelihood that 2 knives, one serrated and one smooth-bladed, were used in Ellen's death. Although the only knife recovered at the scene was of the serrated variety and found embedded 4 inches in Ellen's chest. The import of Dr. Ross's conclusion cannot be overstated. If a second knife was used in Ellen's death but not recovered at the scene, someone other than Ellen necessarily disposed of it, which alone rules out suicide as a cause of death. And I go back to thinking, we watched at the beginning of this case the interview with it was a guy that had he was a first responder, I think, right? He was ducked out in all sorts of team colors, and forgive me, I don't know, it would seem to be a lot of red. And he was talking about what Sam was wearing, and there's no one reported there being blood anywhere on Sam, who, if he had knelt down near her and touched her, I don't see how that would I just don't understand. Studies of the wound pattern suggest not all could have been self-inflicted. According to Dr. Ross, it is very unlikely that several of the wounds suffered by Ellen could have been administered by Ellen herself, and categorically impossible for all of the wounds to have been self-inflicted. The cumulative effect of the wounds would suggest that before the final stab was administered to Ellen's chest, she would have been rendered physically incapable of inflicting more wounds. Ellen suffered a significant wound at the base of her skull that penetrated her brain by several centimeters. This particular wound resulted from an upward strike to the base of the skull. That would have been difficult, if not impossible, for an individual to inflict on herself. All right, how many of you are standing in your kitchen right now trying to reenact this? You got to tell me. Who's standing up trying to recreate this? Barry says, chat, if they find me and it wasn't from the eventual outcomes of my bad habits, it wasn't me. Keep looking. Oh my God, you guys, you're too much. Yeah, I haven't seen Kelly Collins in a minute, Alexis. She was right. There are two knives. Kelly Collins, if you're catching this on replay, girl, let us know. Oh my God. Hello, sir. Hi, Unbalanced Equation. Nice to see you. It's been a long time. Let's see. Okay. I'm flabbergasted. My body won't move that way anymore. I can't even try. But seriously, are you trying? Some of you try. I know you are. I know some of you are trying to recreate these wounds. I mean, just think about it. How could you not? I'm not going to do a reenactment though. So, okay. The cumulative effect of the wound suggests that before the final stab was administered to Ellen's chest, she would have been rendered physically incapable of inflicting more wounds. Okay, we got that. Yes. Moreover, Dr. Ross conducted a forensic examination of a preserved sample of spinal tissue and concluded that the injury inflicted on the nervous system by this blow would have rendered Ellen incapacitated and incapable of performing further harm, including the final stab wound to the chest. Oh, who is this? Alexis, who is Dr. Rourke? This is new to me. We may have to come back. Police investigators. Who is this person? Okay, it's going to tell me. All right, questions concerning the involvement of Dr. Lucy Rourke Adams. Although the police investigators relied heavily on the conclusions of Lucy Rourke Adams, MD, in justifying their findings of suicide, serious questions have arisen regarding Dr. Rourke Adams' involvement. Told you guys I don't have time to go through all this stuff on my own. According to the police investigators, when confronted with questions arising from the irregular wound pattern, particularly the above frequency and severity of certain injuries preceding the final chest wound, but determined to find a medical explanation consistent with a finding of suicide, investigators reached out to Rourke Adams, a neuropathologist with whom the Philadelphia Police and Medical Examiner's Office consulted from time to time. Oh, she's a spinal tissue one. Okay. According to the report, Dr. Rourke Adams concluded after conducting an examination of the spinal tissue, which is like a piece, that the damage inflicted at the base of the skull to the brain and spine could have resulted in Ellen becoming numb to the pain of the subsequent stab wounds while leaving her still sufficiently ambulatory to inflict those further wounds. Are you kidding me? But there is no evidence that Dr. Rourke Adams ever conducted this was the drive-by examination. Okay, there's no evidence that Dr. Rourke Adams ever conducted any examination of Ellen's spinal tissue. She never issued a report, was never paid for her services, and although there are records of Dr. Rourke Adams performing examinations, on the days preceding and following the date of her alleged examination of Ellen's spinal tissue. There are no records that she performed any work for the city of Philadelphia on the date noted in the report. Furthermore, Dr. Rourke Adams has no recollection, of consulting with the police department or the medical examiner's office on that date, and there is no corroborating record of her being picked up and brought to the ME's office as reports suggest. In fact, in interviews with the Philadelphia Inquirer, Dr. Rourke Adams claimed to have no recollection of the case at all, and further stated the lack of any invoice or report of her findings confirmed she had no involvement in the case. So we're just making people up. We're making up the security man that helps break down the door. We're making up an expert. Dr. Rourke Adams' involvement is crucial, as her medical conclusion is a necessary element in the ultimate suicide finding. For without any explanation as to how it was physiologically possible for Ellen to inflict further wounds to her own person after suffering a blow that substantially severed her spinal cord, the ultimate finding of suicide would have been impossible. Okay. I bang my knee against the desk and I'm like incapacitated. So are you kidding? Are you kidding? See, unbalanced equation. You should stop by more often. People are happy to see you. Who didn't remember looking at Ellen's spinal cord? Yeah, exactly. How does that work? Me and many, Barry Adams says, how does that work? Me and many others do many things to shut off our minds and bodies and stay alive. Leah, I am sitting here in disbelief. If y'all aren't scared of the justice system, I would like to know why not. Great Graham says, murder plus blood everywhere equals hate rage. Well, they selectively photographed the scene, Great Grahams. Great Gams. Got it, legs. Makes sense. I can see your photo now. My apologies. Again, I can't read very well. Barry says, do the official authorities in asserting this also claim Ellen has bested all of human history by achieving nirvana? Not to my knowledge. Osborne picked an elderly lady who was one of his professors to claim she reviewed the spinal cord. Gives new meaning to it. Oh, yeah, I know. Unbalanced equation, you are in the UK. It is 2 a.m. in the UK, so thank you. I do understand there is a time difference, and I'm pushing my streams out an hour later because of daylight savings time in the US. People want to go outside and play, but we're glad to see you regardless. And say hi when you're in the replay crew. Okay. Blood pattern evidence. Let me see. Do I still have you guys on the right page? Not that you can read it. Blood pattern evidence suggests Ellen's body was moved or repositioned. Oh, okay. Upon review of the crime scene photographs, those that were taken, and other evidence, where is it? The independent experts have concluded that Ellen was lying down and later moved into the sitting position in which she was discovered by investigators. For example, clear from the photographs of the scene is a trail of blood running horizontally parallel to the floor along the side of Ellen's face, which Detective Scott Ellman concluded defies the laws of gravity and suggests Ellen was moved from the original position she had been in when the blood dried. So Ellman and Ross, I guess, worked together pretty frequently is what this says. That she had been in several positions. Well, I mean, even if you're stabbing yourself, I guess you would be in several different positions, but you know. Knife block, turn the page for them. Knife block suggests altercation. So I don't know if you were able to see in one of those really weird yellowish greeny photographs, their knife. It's on one of my thumbnails. I circled it. I'm going to start putting my thumbnails at the front of my streams so you guys know which ones you're getting yourself into. But the knife block in the kitchen was knocked over, and you can see it Alexa says, I'm looking forward to your diving into more about this Assistant Amy Osborne character next week. Jenny says it's going to get really good. Barry says, so the official coroner's report, Ellen implies Ellen can levitate. Okay. Oh, the photos that we do have, which are not extensive, those are also on Patreon. And again, my Patreon is not behind a paywall. You just have to be a Patreon member. I don't know what extra stuff you're going to get beyond like documents right now, but we'll get there. Yeah, so Unbalanced Equation says it's good to see that you are at almost 1,000 subs. I know, I'm so close yet so far. You were like 29. You probably were. Yeah, it's really exciting. Largely in part to Tanika's 2 cents for all her collabs and her support of the channel. But I'm so glad when I see some of you original folks come in and say hi, because otherwise I don't know that you're still here. Okay, so the condition of the crime scene raised serious questions for the independent experts that, for these experts, support a finding of homicide rather than suicide. Among these questionable conditions, the heavy knife block from which at least one weapon was retrieved was found laying on its side, pulled over with sufficient force to have knocked 2 of the knives stored therein across the counter and into the sink. Oh, okay. I have one of those knife blocks. And it's old. Like, I think I have had it forever. I don't remember buying it, which means I must have inherited it somewhere along the way. The condition of the knife block and knives is consistent with someone grabbing a knife quickly and forcefully, as if in the midst of an altercation with another individual, rather than that of a person who alone in a kitchen pulled a knife out for use, at least initially, for the preparation of a fruit salad. Huh. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to skip down and read a little bit. Yeah, you guys, thank you for all of you who have been with me since before I even started the channel. Like I think I had 5 subscribers before I decided I would ever come on here. And you have tolerated my live stream ramblings now for quite some time, and I appreciate it because it's fun. Okay, let's look at this, what he says. Door locked from the inside. The door was locked from the inside with the safety bar engaged. That the door was locked from the inside with the safety bar engaged was the principal factor in concluding Ellen's death was a suicide. Indeed, this factor was so critical in the minds of the original investigators, the remainder of the investigation seemed like an exercise in uncovering explanations, no matter how unlikely, to justify that initial prejudgment. But that the door was locked from the inside at the time of Ellen's death was merely accepted and was never itself properly tested. As noted in the expert reports and visible in the photographs of the apartment, the safety bar remained intact and undamaged. I mean, I think Henry could have done more damage to that door. The safety bar, although disengaged, was still attached, albeit loosely, to the door and the door frame, respectively. Had the door been forced open from the outside without first disengaging the safety bar, as the investigators concluded, at least one of its ends would necessarily have been ripped from its screws in either the door or the door frame. Tests performed by one investigator using an identical mechanism repeatedly confirmed this. Contrariwise, the damaged but functional safety bar depicted in the photograph was consistent with the application of force to the door, but not entry, as if the door had been pulled from the inside. Oh, causing the damage seen in the photographs, then manually disengaged. Oh my God, you guys. Although a forced entry was reported by Ellen's fiance, who told the police investigators that upon finding the safety bar engaged and Ellen not responding to his text, he kicked the door open in the presence of a member of the building's security. The member of security staff allegedly present when Ellen's fiance kicked the door in is firm that he was not. You guys. You guys. You know, it really reading Dr. or Mr. O's initial report, it gives you one picture of things in your mind, right? And then you see photographs. Okay. But then these different experts have written this in various ways. And I see this happen where, like what this man just said about the how to inflict the damage on the door. Like, I'll admit I haven't thought about it real hard because I've got other things to think about. But I noticed that when I'm reviewing discovery and in a police report and in an officer's narrative or detective's narrative, he will sort of write a summary of an interview he had. And if that interview is on body cam, and if the state turned over the body cam, I can then go watch the interview. And it's really interesting to me to see how some officers sort of interpret what was said rather than recounting it factually, I guess. And so I've learned that whatever I might assume from reading the police's narrative, I better go double and triple check that in multiple different places. If I have photos, if I have video, if I have recordings, whatever I've got, I want to make sure that it is what he says it is. Because I think that too often we can be directed by someone else's words. You guys are just over here spreading love around, and I'm you guys are so funny. Yes, and thank you to Alexis, Jenny, and Leah. Appreciate you guys, and I'm so glad that you all it's a love fest up in here. So another factor cited in support of the finding of suicide was lack of defensive wounds, which would be expected on the victim of a knife attack of this nature. However, as Dr. Ross explained in his report, the stab wound inflicted upward at the base of Ellen's skull to her spine and brain would have been incapacitating, made further resistance impossible. Moreover, Dr. Ross did find evidence of fresh bruises and a fingernail imprint on Ellen's neck, suggesting she may have been physically overwhelmed and rendered defenseless by her attacker at the outset of the altercation, further explaining the lack of defensive wounds customary in knife attacks. Moreover, a lack of defensive wounds is not unheard of in these incidences, particularly when the victim is attacked quickly so as not to be able to defend herself. Mental state. Ellen had obtained treatment for her anxiety in the weeks preceding her death, and there is no indication from her therapist or elsewhere that Ellen had exhibited a predisposition towards self-harm or that she entertained any suicidal ideations at any time. In fact, Dr. Berman maintains Ellen did not exhibit any indications of suicidal ideation while under her professional care. Prescribed Klonopin for her anxiety, the toxicology screens showed levels in her system that were consistent with the prescribed dosage and that Ellen was using the medication as directed. Oh, here you go. Here's the computer forensic analysis. Remember we looked at this last week? Putting aside for the moment obvious conflict of interest concerns involving certain members of the Office of the Attorney General, who became involved in this matter once the Philadelphia DA's office recused, the OAG's investigation is fraught with many problems. The OAG investigators conducted a forensic analysis of Ellen's laptop computer and found in her internet search history, across 3 days maybe, evidence of an interest in painless death. The OAG concluded this was consistent with a finding of suicide, but made no determination on whether this was consistent with the finding that Ellen committed suicide. Further, OAG nowhere addresses the known chain of custody concerns pertaining to Ellen's laptops and cell phone, or how those concerns may have impacted information now stored on those devices. Finally, leaving aside questions related to the chain of evidence and reliability of these findings, the OAG was unable to explain how an individual interested in painless death would have reached the unlikely conclusion after allegedly conducting research on this subject that a preferred means of suicide was to stab oneself 20 times front and back. Please don't bite. I would prefer that you not bite me. Oh, thank you, Unbalanced Equation. I appreciate you. Henry, come here. You can't. I'm almost done. And you've had enough to eat. Look how big you are. I'm talking to the people. Okay? I'm talking to the people for a moment here. Yes, Henry has answered the chat. Say hi to the people, sir. See? You're on TV. Don't you like it? Mm-hmm. This is a case that requires a closer examination and more thorough investigation, which can only be accomplished by changing the cause of death listed on the death certificate from suicide to inconclusive or homicide. Hi. The prior definitive conclusion of suicide is simply not supported by the evidence. Okay, don't take everything with you, though. Yeah. The prior definitive conclusion of suicide is simply not supported by the evidence, and in light of the facts of the facts and circumstances raised by independent experts, constitutes a capricious exercise of discretion. This matter unquestionably warrants further consideration, and the certificate of death should be changed to reflect that need. Thank you for your prompt attention to this matter. I would request a meeting with you to further expound and elaborate on the reasons why the death listed on Ellen's death certificate must be changed. I will have my assistant contact your office to schedule this meeting. In the interim, please do not hesitate to contact me. And this is Joseph A. Pedraza Jr. Wow. Yes, Henry. I just uploaded to the Google Drive associated with the channel, I think 1,300 video and photo clips of Sir Henry from when he was a tiny baby until now, where you can see he is not so tiny. Okay, so no, I want to go to number 8. Got it. Okay, we're almost there, guys. I just want to knock through these last little bits, and then we'll be in good shape to set up for next week's stream. I'm trying to do it in manageable chunks, but I've been a little bit stunned here. So we need to go to page 6. There we go. Is that at the end? Okay, the letter is identical to the one sent to Emmy Galino, except for the conclusion. Okay, all the documents will be over on the Patreon, you guys. Again, you don't have to pay to be on Patreon. You just have to be a member. And I'm still working on what I'm going to do with Patreon. Which one is this? 8. Okay. Got it. So I'm skipping through the whole thing because it seems like people are pretty much repeating themselves. But this is just mind-blowing. Okay, so the conclusion. This is a case that requires a closer examination and more thorough investigation, which can only be accomplished by your amending Ellen's death certificate to reflect a cause of death other than suicide. A conclusion of suicide is simply not supported by the evidence, and in light of the facts and circumstances raised by independent experts, constitutes a capricious exercise of discretion. Thank you for your prompt attention to this matter. Ellen's estate, her family, and I strongly urge you to agree to amend her death certificate to enable her to receive justice. I look forward to hearing from you. So this was This is an attorney writing to Dr. Osborne. I mean, 6 pages of explaining to the medical examiner why this was not a murder. And it's pretty much the same language as what we just read. So, okay. Guys, is that not crazy? Are you still stunned? Are you still shocked? Are you still with me? So, we'll put all these up, like I said, for you on Patreon. With regard to the investigation, so we're up to 2019. We're getting closer. In 2019, the AG's office concluded their review before ultimately closing the investigation, citing evidence to support the suicide ruling. On October 15th of 2019, the parents were left with no other options, and they filed a lawsuit against the city, seeking to have the manner of Ellen's death changed back to homicide or to undetermined, a move that would allow for an investigation to be reopened and pave the way for a possible wrongful death or misconduct lawsuit against the city. We're asking to change the manner of death and open a new investigation with impartial people and an impartial prosecutor, Joshua Greenberg said. We are not asking for the moon, just justice for our daughter. Fortunately, their persistence proved fruitful, and it was the Greenberg suit which unveiled new information about the unusual process around how Ellen's death was classified and new testimony about whether one of the wounds to her neck was possibly administered after she died. Next week, at our new time, 8:15 Eastern, we will dig into the Greenberg's lawsuit and see all the secrets that have come to light. We find out that fiance Sam, through his legal counsel, changes his story, and we learn about some secret meetings. So I hope you guys will be back again next Saturday. Still stunned, still shocked, still here, sad. Yes, indeed, I agree. Yeah, so Barry, you make a good point. Ellen's parents had the resources to hire these experts and to keep fighting, to keep pushing forward. And so she was very, very lucky in that way. So come back again. We're getting closer, guys. We're getting closer. And then like I said, I'm giving you guys your own stream to come in with all of your thoughts and feelings and theories and ideas and all the other craziness. All right. So you guys be safe out there, and I'll see you next week. Thanks.